Hello, everybody. So I'm going to redo lesson 8.5, fractions on a number line. Apparently the sound did not get recorded, so let's go do it again. So we're on page 337 of the third grade textbook. And the essential question you should be able to answer at the end of this lesson is, how can you represent and locate fractions on a number line? All right, so let's look at the unlock the problem. Billy's family is traveling from his house to his grandma's house. They stop at gas stations when they are 1/4 and 3/4 of the way there. How can you represent those distances on a number line? Well, you can use a number line to show fractions. The length from one whole number to the next whole number represents one whole. The line can be divided into any number of equal parts or lengths. So, in our math idea, a point on a number line shows the endpoint of a length or distance from 0. A number or fraction can name the distance. So here's our activity. Locate fractions on a number line. And so they're showing us that from Billy's house to Grandma's house is 1 mile. Or 1 whole. They really didn't say whether it's mile or not. So 1 whole. Okay, the whole trip is 1. So, and each of these squares are going to represent 1/4 of the trip. Okay, so we're going to divide the line into 4 equal. Step 1, divide the line into 4 equal lengths or fourths. Okay, so use something maybe to help you draw a straight line. Okay. And so that's another 1/4. I'm going to draw another 1/4. And finish it. So 4 equal lengths in this whole. And I know that because the denominator is 4. So they're telling me that there are 4 equal parts in this strip. Okay. All right, so we've made 4 equal parts. Now we need to label at the end of each, draw mark on the line at the end of each strip. So here's the end of one strip. So we're going to make a mark on the number line. Here, here, and the last one's already there. Okay, so now count the fourths from 0 to 1 to label the distances from 0. So we see here at 0, the number line is also at 0/4. Okay, we haven't taken any part of the trip yet. When we get to the end of our first fraction strip, we're at 1/4 of the whole trip. If we keep on going, we would be at 2/4 of the trip. Keep going. We complete another 1/4 of the trip, we're at 3/4. And then finally we'd be at 4/4, or the whole of the trip. We'd be done. So 1/4 is 1 out of 4 equal lengths. So draw a point at 1/4 to represent the distance from 0 to 1/4. Okay, it told us we had to find 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to put a point there, and it told us to label it G1. Okay, and then Our last point was at 3/4. So again, I'm going to put a point, a dot at 3/4, and it wants us to label that point G2. Okay, so that's basically it as far as for locating points on a number line. Okay, so let's go to the next page. 138, 338, I'm sorry. And let's look at this. Complete the number line to name the point. And you can use color pencils or color markers. Write the fraction that names the point on the number line. So think, this number line is divided into 6 equal lengths, or sixths. Okay, so remember, we can divide the distance between a whole number on a number line in as many equal parts as you want. In this time, the denominator is 6, so we need to have 6 equal parts. So the length of one equal part, each little fraction strip, is 1/6. Okay, so shade the fraction strips to show the location of the point. But before we do that, let's put in our fraction numbers on the number line. So from 0/6 to the first one would be 1/6. At the end of the second 1/6, we'd be at 2/6. And then 3/6, 4/6, 5/6. And then our very last one, 6/6, represents 1 whole. All right, so shade the fraction strips to show the location of the point. The point is right here, correct? So we need to shade up to that point from 0 to the point. All right. So how many parts are shaded? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of the 6 equal lengths are shaded. So the shaded length shows 5/6. So our point was 5/6. All right, complete the number line and draw a point to show 2/3. All right, so we have a 0 and 1. So this whole section makes up the whole of the number line. There are 3 equal parts to this, so that means my denominator has to be thirds. So at the end of the first one, we'd be at 1/3. At the end of the second one, 2/3. And at the end of the third 1/3, we'd be at 3/3, or 1 whole. And it wants us to draw a point at 2/3. Well, so if we were shading this in, we'd have to shade 2 out of the 3 equal parts. And we would put a point right at 2/3. Write the fraction that names the point. So in this case, we see that our number line is broken into 8 equal parts. Each part is 1/8 of the distance between 0 and 1. So as we go through, we 0/8, 1/8, 2/8. So what number comes between 2/8 and 4/8? It would be 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. So point A, where is point A? Well, from 0 to right there, and we noticed that we had 3 parts shaded, so 3/8. Where is point B? So we keep going along our number line, and we'd shade up to the next section. And now we would be at 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/8. And the last one We only have to add one more 1/8, and we would be at 7. Okay. All right, let's look at page 339. Use fraction strips to help complete the number line, then locate the point for the fraction. All right, so we see that the denominator is 6, so there's going to be 6 equal parts. And so all right, so draw in your equal squares. So here's 1/6. That part's 1/6. This part is 1/6. 1/6. 1/6. 1/6. All right. And it wants us to find 2/6. So if we were shading that, it would be from 0 to the end of the second 1/6. And so we put a point at the end of each fraction, put a mark on the number line. So there, 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 and the last one's already there. All right, so locate and draw a point for the fraction 2/6. 1, 2. So it would be right here is 2/6. So that fraction is 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6. Again, note that 6/6 is at 1 and 0/6 is at 0. Okay. All right, 1/2. Okay, well, let's draw in the fraction strips. Okay, that part we drew is 1/2. Okay, and it wants us to find 1/2. So we're going to color in or shade 1/2 of the number line. Put a mark on the line at the end of each fraction strip. So there's one at 0/2, one at 1/2, and one at 2/2. So here's 1/2. So put a point at 1/2. Number 7, we have to find 2/3. Okay, the denominator again of here tells us there's going to be 3 equal parts in the whole. So we know that the fraction strips have to go from 0 to 1. So we can go ahead and draw the whole thing out to 1. And then in the middle of each of these fractions, we're going to put the end of the fraction strip. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 equal parts. Each fraction strip is 1/3. On the number line, put a mark at the end of each fraction strip. Okay, so we have those right there. So we go 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. 3/3 is at 1, 0/3 is at 0. All right, we have to find 2/3. So if we shade in 2/3, that means shade 2 out of 3. And put a point at 2/3. All right, write the fraction that names the point. Okay, so we see that it's broken into fourths. Okay, so and I don't see any fraction strips drawn here, but we can draw them in. Okay. All right. So I went ahead and drew in fourths. So this is 1/4, this is 1/4, this section's 1/4, and that section's 1/4. So it wants us to find point C. Well, point C is the first point on the number line, and it's right here. So 0/4, 1/4. So point C is at 1/4. Point D is at the end of the next 1/4. So point D is at 2/4. Point E is at the end of the next 1/4. And so it's at 3/4. All right. All right, let's go to page 340. Shavia ran 8 laps around a track to run a total of 1 mile on Monday. How many laps will she need to run on Tuesday to run 3/8 of a mile? What do we need to find out? All right, so 8 laps was a mile. How many laps will it be for 3/8 of a mile? All right, so remember the question is what you need to find, right? So how many laps will she need to run on Tuesday to run 3/8 of a mile? B, how will you use what you know about number lines to help you solve the problem? I will draw a number line with how many equal parts? Okay, I'm going to draw a number line with 8 equal parts since 8 laps equals 1 mile. And so let's use what we know from our work so far. So we know our very first mark on our number line has to be 0. And we know our last line will be 1/2. Fraction-wise, the first one will be 0/8, and the last one will be 8/8. So we know that means there's 8 equal sections in this 1 mile. Okay, so I'm going to draw with pencil first, so if I make a mistake, I can erase it. I don't know, let's call that 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's pretty close. All right, so if that's 1/8, all of these parts are 1/8. Okay, and so we're going to put a mark at the end of each of the 1/8, right? Okay, so 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. Okay, so in our question said 3/8 of a mile. Each equal part represents 1 lap. So at the end of 1 lap, she's ran 1/8. At the end of the second lap, she's ran 2/8 of a mile. At the end of the third lap, she's ran 3/8. And that's where we have to find, or what we have to find. So there are, in the whole, there's 8 laps. Each lap represents 1/8. So how many laps represents the distance of 3/8? 1, 2, 3. So Xavier will need to run 3 laps to run 3/8 of a mile. And number 12. Locate and draw the point on the number line to represent the fraction 2/4. Okay, so we know that there will be 4 equal parts. They didn't give us much room to draw fraction strips, this one, but I'll just draw it there, okay? And so we know that the end of each fraction strip represents 1/4 of the whole. So each of these boxes is 1/4. Each fraction strip is 1/4 of the whole. So we know that at 0, it has to be 0/4. Then 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 would be equal to 1. And we have to find 2/4. So 2/4 is right there. Okay, so that's it for lesson 8.5. In our next session, we'll be talking about the mid-chapter review. So until then, may the numbers always be in your favor.